Hello guys, or should I say dobar dan. Now finally all the Croatia vlogs have gone live and I have compiled a big Croatia travel guide for you guys. I will be going into when's the best time to go, where you should go, how to get around, how much we spent on everything, and just generally speaking, things you should know before going to Croatia. Let's start with when's the best time to go. May, September and October are the best times to go to Croatia because the peak season is in the summertime, which is when everything will be much busier, much more expensive. But in May, September and October, the temperatures are still really nice. After the summer, the water of the sea has also warmed up. In autumn, the wine is also being harvested, so you can sample the new wine. In springtime and May, you have beautiful wildflowers, and in autumn time the leaves change color. Alright, so now we know when to go. Let's have a look at where you can be going. Croatia is a pretty big country. Well, not really in surface, but especially in length. The distances can be a bit frightening or intimidating, especially if you want to see the entire country. If you do want to see the entire country, I do recommend flying into either Zadar or Split because those are kind of centrally located along the coast. So at most you'll be driving either 3 hours north or 3 hours south. Flying into Zagreb, which is the capital of the city, is usually cheaper, but you will have to cross a bit of a bigger distance. So those are a few things to keep in mind. You can fly to Dubrovnik as well, for example, or even straight to Istria. But the closer you get to your destination, probably the more expensive the flight will be. We did not spend any time in the capital city, Zagreb. We heard there's not that much to do and we just skipped it. But let's go about the country a bit from north to south. So from Zagreb all the way to the west on the coast in the north is the Istrian Peninsula. I made separate vlogs about all of these places, so if you want to see everything in depth, in more detail, see what all the places are like, then definitely check out the vlogs. In Istria we stayed near Rovin, which is kind of central along the coast, but it's also the most picturesque city out of all of them. From here we went to Pula, Poreš, the Baredin caves, which was such a great visit. You can go to the villages that are located like on the green hills surrounded by vineyards with cobblestone streets and incredible views. The most popular ones are Ham, the smallest city in the world, Motovun and Gosja. The last one we didn't have time to go to, but Motovun and Ham really were worth the visit. Astronomically, I would say that this is the most interesting region in Croatia. Then about a 3-hour ride from the peninsula of Istria, more to the south of the capital, along the border of Bosnia, there you can find the Plitvice lakes. These are the biggest and arguably the best waterfalls of all of Europe. Make sure that you calculate at least 5 hours for your visit if you do want to see all of it. We extremely underestimated this, but we are so happy that we took our time for the visit. Once you've seen the north, you will probably make your way along the coast in the south. Something I had no clue about is that there's actually super tall mountains along the coastline of Croatia. I had no clue. So there are actually mountains that you can explore along the coast as well, but usually this is not very popular with tourists. Most people just go to the popular cities along the coastline. The first one you will encounter is Zadar. We spent an afternoon just walking around Zadar, exploring around. We had free parking on Sundays. This is a really good thing in a lot of places. You can find free parking from the Saturday afternoon to the Sunday, but not everywhere. We explored the old town of Zadar and then we made our way down to Split, to Trogir. Trogir is a smaller old town, not that far away from Split, and it is where our sailing trips will start. By the time you see this, we will have already done our sailing season in Croatia. I will be a yacht chef and host on sailboats with my boyfriend who is a skipper, and we will be going from Split to Dubrovnik, passing through some very famous cities and islands like Hvar, Stari Grad, Korčula as well, the Miljet National Park, and so on. So all of that you can see in the vlog that I will be making about sailing Croatia. And then we end in Dubrovnik, which was always a dream of mine. We were there at the start of April when it was not very busy yet, and I cannot recommend it enough. Going to these places in the middle of the summer is going to be a nightmare. Cruise ships stop by here. There's huge bus tours passing through. It will definitely be a lot more busy during the day than during the night, which we experienced as well. The day trippers kind of leave and then everything quiets down after 6-ish. But if you can, especially for places like Dubrovnik, I would avoid going in June, July, and August. Obviously, Dubrovnik has a beautiful old town, but so does Split, so does Trogir, so does Zadar, and places in Istria as well have beautiful Venetian heritage, meaning they are very colorful and very picturesque. So if you do go in busier times, try looking into some alternatives and finding another more quiet town around the coastline. South from Dubrovnik you can find Kaftat, which is another beautiful coastal town. We tried to have a look at it, but the parking was extremely expensive, so we just kept driving. And then almost at the Bosnian border, there is a town where they display the traditional dance of Croatia every Sunday at 11:15 a.m. in front of the church. This starts on Palm Sunday all the way until November. We were there just the week before, so we missed it. We couldn't witness it, unfortunately, but if you are in the area, then definitely check it out. To see the whole country, you kind of need at least 2 weeks, because we spent 1 week alone in Istria. Close to Split and Trogir, we went to the Krakow waterfalls, which we loved so much. They are smaller than the Plitvice lakes, thank God, but we still spent quite a bit of time walking through the longest tufa barrier in Europe. It was honestly so beautiful, very well maintained, and just some really impressive waterfalls. So potentially I would say spend a week in the north, seeing the waterfalls as well, and then spending a week along the coast as well. That would be ideal, just to take your time and see everything the country has to offer. If you do have more than 2 weeks to spend in Croatia and around Croatia, then I will be making a separate video about itineraries you can do within the Balkans, going to multiple countries at a time, some shorter, some longer itineraries, in case you also want to see the best caves of Europe, or you want to mix up some more expensive things in Croatia with some more affordable things in Bosnia, for example, which I highly recommend you visiting as well, then I will be making that video shortly as well. But how will you get around? Well, most likely you would be using a rental car, and if you don't, I guess you can use the public transportation. There are buses available. Definitely check out Flixbus, usually all over Europe. On this website you can see all the buses that are available, but there's local buses as well, which are easy to use. However, if you are renting a car, then these are some things to take into account. Like I said, on Sundays, sometimes you can find free parking, but in most places otherwise you will have to pay. So if you do rent a car, make sure that at your accommodation there is parking included. This will already save you quite a bit of money. When driving in Croatia, you will not need a vignette like you do in Slovenia, but there will be toll to pay on the highways, which can get very expensive. If you don't take the toll road, it is quite likely that you will encounter a speed camera in every single city you go. Sometimes, especially along the coast, maybe every kilometer. We were using Waze to navigate, so on Waze all the speed cameras are indicated, but there are a lot of them. Now let's have a look at the budget, starting with the diesel. We paid 1.28 euros per liter for the diesel, and in general we topped up the diesel once a week. We obviously had our own car, so we didn't have to pay for a rental car. Okay, now that you know what it costs to kind of get around, on accommodation we spent on average per day, per person, 24 euros. We stayed at some beautiful apartments that were fully equipped and they were all run by locals. We prefer to book locally and not go with any resorts that are internationally owned. On activities, we spent on average 13 euros per person a day, and these are the activities that we paid for. The Plitvice waterfalls and the parking cost us 32 euros and a half per person. We visited the smallest city in the world, Ham and Motovun, and we did a few purchases there. We bought some truffle things, and per person we spent 7.90 euros. The amphitheater in Pula costs 10 euros per person. The Baradin cave only costs 12 euros per person. The Krakow waterfalls, 20 euros per person. The 10 museums in Dubrovnik, 20 euros per person. But In my vlog, I've included many more prices of activities we didn't do, like 27 euros for a cable car, 40 euros to walk on the wall. All those things are in the separate vlog, but we didn't do those, so they are not included in my budget. We spent 13 euros per person per day on food. We usually went to the shops and cooked for ourselves in our apartments. We did eat out every now and then. The more south you go, kind of the higher the prices get, especially on the islands. You are paying Central European, Western tourist prices. Be aware that if you do cook for yourself, shops will close on Sunday. And most of the time, we just went to the local bakery to grab ourselves some pastries for lunch, which was super affordable and delicious. We enjoyed one too many local boutiques. And all of that brings our daily total average to 60 euros per person. So we spent 60 euros per person per day in total. This is definitely not cheap. People always think that Croatia is this affordable, cheap country to travel to. Aside from Spain or Italy, they think it's cheaper, but this is completely changing. Croatia is also getting more expensive, adapting the prices to what the Western tourists are used to paying for things. So it is getting quite expensive actually. My boyfriend is now already working in Croatia and he is throwing a tantrum at how expensive things are. So it is something to keep in mind, especially the high season will be more expensive than traveling there during April, May, even October. You will find more affordable accommodations, etc. So if you do want more affordable accommodations in the high season, then book in advance because I do believe they will sell out sooner than the more expensive options. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then give it a thumbs up and I hope you will have an unforgettable trip in Croatia. Subscribe if you want to see the upcoming Albania vlogs and then I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!